Tonight's conversation pulls back the curtain on a classified briefing that has left lawmakers deeply unsettled. At the center is Senator Richard Blumenthal, raising alarms not just about military action involving Iran, but about whether Congress and the public have been given a clear strategy, cost estimate, or endgame. This is not just a debate over policy, but over constitutional authority, transparency, and the risks of escalation in an unpredictable region.
And the American people deserve to hear everything that I was told in that briefing. The American people deserve for a hearing before the Armed Services Committee, which conducted that briefing in a classified setting, because they would be alarmed, not just by the continued incoherence of the administration's explanation of its supposed objectives, which are often contradictory, as you just observed, but also because war is unpredictable and the enemy has a vote. So we seem to be on a path without any clear estimate on costs conveyed to us in that briefing, without answers on Russia's involvement, which further widens the war, without any prediction on the timing. And the president himself has talked about using special operation forces to disperse or secure the enriched uranium. He's talked about regime change. It can't be done at 30,000 feet. It requires a presence in the country.
But when you say that there is a path you believe to putting troops on the ground in Iran, based on what you heard today, how likely do you believe that is?
I am not going to predict, Caitlin, about how likely it is, but history shows that great powers have a way of blundering into war by miscalculation. And Iran may be weakened, but it is still dangerous. It is laying mines. It is choking the Strait of Hormuz. It is still bombing and drone attacking others in the region, and it poses a threat in the United States of America. So I am extremely worried and fearful after that briefing, but I was even before. I'd spoken publicly about it.
So Caroline Leavitt at the briefing this afternoon was asked about the comments that you made. I want you to listen to what she had to say. What's your reaction to her claim that you're being disingenuous?
I'm just conveying my worries, concerns, and fears that are widely shared by my colleagues, frankly, on both sides of the aisle, and by the American people, who are very, very opposed to this war because it may prove to be another forever war, because there's no clarity as to objectives. I received a text, Caitlin, from a Connecticut National Guardsman in the area who is in harm's way right now. In fact, he's watching some of this action. And he asked me, what's the vision of success? There can be great military triumphs through bombing, but success requires a strategy. It isn't a video game. And
so someone from the military in the Middle East asked you what the end game is.
This moment highlights a recurring tension in U.S. military history: the gap between tactical success and strategic clarity. The Pentagon's disclosure that over $5.6 billion in munitions were used in just 2 days underscores how quickly modern conflicts escalate in cost and consequence. References to threats in the Strait of Hormuz elevate concerns beyond regional conflict to global economic stability. Yet the central question raised here, what does success look like, remains unanswered. If Congress is asked to approve additional funding, should that vote imply endorsement of the war itself? And how much uncertainty is acceptable before democratic oversight is bypassed?
Exactly. And this was a Connecticut National Guardsman. I know him as a personal friend. I know his family. And so he was being perfectly frank with me. And I think he was reflecting the questions asked by a number of his fellow National Guardsmen.
The Pentagon, we know, did tell Congress that the U.S. military went through more than $5 billion worth of munitions in the first 2 days of this war, $5.6 billion to be precise. House Speaker Mike Johnson says it's inevitable they're going to ask for more money. If the administration asks Congress for more money for this war with Iran, how will you vote?
I'd be very disinclined to vote for another tremendous boost in spending designed solely for Iran. And right now, the military says it has abundant munitions and supplies, so there seems to be no reason to ask for a supplemental. Already, the military budget is close to $1 trillion. So I think the burden is on the administration to justify why they need a supplemental. And I'm very concerned that a yes vote on a supplemental would be interpreted as congressional approval of the war itself. So far, they have refused to come to Congress, which they are constitutionally required to do. The United States Constitution is very explicit that Congress has a role in declaring war. I don't want anyone in this administration to say they voted for the supplemental, so they've approved this war.
Yeah, and of course they might attack you if you don't vote for it, saying that you're not supportive of the military. One thing they've been criticizing Democrats over is the partial shutdown when it comes to the Department of Homeland Security. The president just ousted the leader there, Kristi Noem. He's replacing her with one of your colleagues. We've seen these huge lines, though, at TSA, a lot of the airports. Americans are having to deal with this. At Houston, it was a 3-hour wait. In New Orleans, 2 hours. People might ask, why is the TSA, Coast Guard, CISA, cybersecurity, why are they having to pay the price for this? And what would you say to people who are waiting in those long lines?
I would say we have proposed paying the TSA. We have proposed paying FEMA and the Coast Guard through separate appropriations bills, which the Republicans have refused even to take up. Second point, you raised the politics of voting against the supplemental. My main concern is those men and women in uniform, like that National Guardsman who texted me. They are in harm's way, and they are dying right now. Even if there are no boots on the ground, men and women, our sons and daughters, are sacrificing their lives. And the statistic you just gave, about 140 servicemen and women, a number of them seriously wounded, is deeply disquieting and concerning. So what I would say to people is, we can pay TSA, FEMA, and the Coast Guard and other agencies that just happen to be housed in the Department of Homeland Security through a separate appropriation bill, and then we can do reforms, which are absolutely necessary. The American people are demanding reforms so that ICE agents wear badges and body cameras, so that they take off their masks, so that individuals who are harmed by government agents have a right of action to redress them. These are reforms that apply to all the police forces, your local police force, and yet ICE is accepted from them. I think the American people want us to stand strong.
Senator Richard Blumenthal, thank you for joining us tonight. And please
Thank
tell
you.
That U.S. service member that you're talking to.
What emerges from this exchange is not partisan rhetoric, but a warning about momentum, how conflicts can advance faster than the public debate meant to guide them. From war powers to budget authority, this discussion reveals how intertwined military decisions are with transparency, accountability, and civilian oversight. As pressure builds in Congress and figures like Mike Johnson signal future funding requests, the stakes extend far beyond one vote. Now we want to hear from you. Should Congress draw firmer lines before approving more funding? Share your thoughts below, and for more fact-based, balanced breakdowns, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.